My name's Marie Phillips. I'm actually from Croydon. I'm currently a student retraining to be a teacher. The treatment I had was a total hip replacement for my right hip, and the operation was about an hour, I believe. So, I was in hospital for 5 days and subsequently have had physiotherapy here at Shirley Oaks, and I'll be seeing Mr Howell for another review meeting in about 6 weeks. I needed to have a hip operation in the first place because I suffer from osteoarthritis. The osteoarthritis first started to cause me issues when I was about 37, 38. I hadn't realised that some of the symptoms possibly were for the osteoarthritis until it had been diagnosed. I thought I'd pulled a muscle in one of my legs, in my left leg, from kickboxing, possibly cycling, possibly running. I was fairly active. Also would wear very inappropriate high heels to work, and I'd go, just a regular active sort of like lifestyle for somebody who lived in the city but also, or worked in the city but also travelled a fair sort of like bit. With the pain in my hips, it was very difficult for me to do anything other than basic walking. Distance walking, I would only be able to walk maybe about quarter of a mile, half a mile without being in pain, needing to sit down. My main problem, I think, was sleep, not being able to sleep properly, so it meant that constantly I was feeling very tired. With my daughter, things like swimming, she's a very good swimmer, so to be able to be in the water and swim alongside her was very difficult. It affected the choice of holidays we made, because we're very active when we go on holiday, so it meant that we had to be much more mindful about, for example, I've just come back from Copenhagen. We chose Copenhagen because it was going to be flat and there was going to be good public transport should we need it around the city. So it does limit the things you do and makes you much more wary. I chose to have my treatment at BMI Shirley Oaks Hospital because it's very local to where I live, so the convenience factor. Also, my husband had been treated here for 4 operations previously, and he'd had a very good experience. My sister lives almost next door to the hospital, so even if we weren't in hospital at the same time, it would have been very convenient for her to come in or to be available if I needed something. I knew the standards were good, and I know that the care was good too, so convenience and also reputation. I also chose BMI Shirley Oaks Hospital because my previous consultant, Mr Howell, worked here, and that I wanted him to do the operation on my left leg because I'd had such a successful outcome, on my right leg, sorry, because I had such a successful outcome on my left leg. When I first came to BMI Shirley Oaks, I felt that the staff were very serious about my health, from reception right up to the nurses. Mr Howell was somebody who I knew before, and he was a consultant who had conducted my first operation, so I trusted him, and so I was expecting the same positive outcomes. I do feel that generally the staff were passionate. They were interested in me, they were interested in my condition. It's difficult to name just one person. I think the team that looked after me, because I had so many nurses and so many different support staff, I would say that the team was led really well, and I think that they all worked to really high standards and certainly tried their best. Since the operation, I've really felt that my health has improved and my mobility has really improved. I can walk miles, sort of like now, if I have to, or if I want to. Also, I can drive much longer distances. Before, when I was driving, my hips would lock after about 10, 15 minutes, which obviously is very dangerous. So, I'm able to swim without getting a click in my hips. Also able to play a lot more with my daughter, able to get down on the floor and just play sort of like games. Also, my sleep has gone from feeling like I was an insomniac to being sort of like a very nice, comfortable sleep. I don't wake up in pain and dread putting my foot on the floor as I first get out of bed. I don't disturb my husband, and yeah, life's generally much better. I can carry things, whereas before I didn't have to carry would actually put extra stress on my joints, and so the pain of actually lifting up just a normal shopping bag or even pushing a shopping trolley made shopping very difficult, and I couldn't lift things to sort of like take them back sort of like home, and all that's gone, and that's back to as it should be normal, which is it's nice. So, my advice to people who are in a similar my advice to younger people would be, because the symptoms are quite random, I mean, for me it felt like a muscle pull, but I understand people can get backache and sort of like all sorts of things. You don't necessarily know it's your hips, and you certainly aren't going to expect osteoarthritis. That if you do have a muscle problem, or there is a history of it, and not necessarily at your generation, maybe your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation, then go to doctor, sort it out, because what could possibly happen, you can have one of the treatments that don't require the total replacement, and you could possibly resurface it, or something that can just delay having to have that sort of like total hip replacement. But if you do need to go down that road, then what I would say, definitely do. Obviously you have to look at your whole lifestyle and what you want from life, but for me it's given me the energy and empowered me to be positive and go out and do what I can and actually enjoy life. There's hips can be treated, there's other illnesses that you're not so lucky to be able to treat. So for me it's been a very positive experience, and I'd certainly say that best practice now mean that it's got to be a good experience for, I'd imagine, most people.